Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillah wa Rabbil Alameen. As-salatu salam ala Rasulillahi sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Halim wa salim bikum. Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi barakatuh ikhwani ikhwati fi deen. Wassalamu ala mani tabahuda ikhwani ikhwati fi Afrika wa Europa, America wa Caribbean wa Asia wa kulli makan. And dear brothers and sisters, today I'm going to kind of change up a little bit. It's still on the same track of dealing with the scholarship and the connection and the tawheed of our ancient brothers in Kent. And we all use this word, Ameen in Arabic, and the other religions, even Hindu, even have a version of this. And a lot of us, we take it for granted. It's part, like when we say the Fatiha, we say Ameen at the end. When we have Muslims who invoke Subhanahu wa ta'ala in a dua, we say Ameen, 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 Ameen. And we do this. But many of us don't really actually know why we do it, because we do it because everyone else is doing it. The Christians, the same way. The Jews, the same way. And so we don't understand, we know it has to do with Subhanahu wa ta'ala, but we don't actually know all the ins and outs, of it. You know what I mean? Why, why we're doing it, and what does it actually mean, and what's the origin of it, and so forth, so on. And this, again, is part of the problem that we have in dealing with the three major religions: Christianity, Judaism, and Islam. And we have the weaknesses of it. We have one guest here. Let's see who this is. Oh yeah, how you doing, my dear sister? Thank you very much for showing up. And I really appreciated this. My sister here in California, in the United States. So thank you, my dear sister, for showing up today. I appreciate that. And so when we invoke Ameen, all of us, regardless who you are, Jew, Muslim, or Christian, you should understand why you're using it and the meaning actually of it, because this is important. So we'll get started on this. And brothers and sisters, I had some contention. I've talked to some people close to me about similar subjects. And because of my Islamic faith, many feel, who are Muslims as well, that I'm glorifying the mushrikeen. Mushrikeen is the Arabic word meaning polytheism, or a person who has assigned partners to Subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is not the case. I'm talking about a historical fact, because again, a lot of this, because people want me to go away from that. If I was talking about something in Europe, I wouldn't get these distractions. See, but since I'm talking about Africa, and I'm talking about an ancient civilization that the West Africans are the sons of, the African Americans are the sons of, our Caribbean brothers and our brothers in South America, and our African brothers in Europe, all we have this DNA coming out from this area. We know it in the Meher Neher as Kemt, the Black lands, the land of the Black people. This is actually, I'll get into a topic on this at a later time to get deeper into this. But there's a series of things that we're starting to uncover. And you heard me talk about the Sufi masters. The Sufi masters understand this word very well. We have scholars who can give you a definition and say, yeah, it means this, this, this. But the so-called, I have to use the word Sufi for edification, because people, if I start using other words, you say, who are these people? I'll use Sufi because people know what Sufi is. The Sufi, way of life. these particular individuals, even in our history, have unraveled a lot of deep mysteries that we don't really understand. And then now these things have been brought forward. So let's look at this. When the Hebrews, okay, excuse me. Sorry, brothers and sisters. Sorry. Here we go. The Christians say, Amen. The Hebrews say, Amen. The Muslims say, Amen. The Hindus say, Amun. We all have a variation of this word. The Hindus, of course, are not among the three Abrahamic religions and so forth and so on. But I'm using this for brevity because we know what the Hindus are. They are mushrikeen. But I'm showing that this word has been used in many circles. See, and it's all dealing again with a central figure. And so we're going to get into that. Reason why I'm tackling this issue, brothers and sisters, because again, we go back to something we have racism in this as well. And this is why I want to actually talk about this as well and get this out. The scholars contend that Amen, derived from a Hebrew source, meaning to glorify supplication after invoking Allah, Yahweh, or any name that you choose to call Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Means verily, truly, it is true, let it be. This is basically the consensus that we have non-African scholars and some Africans who follow the way of the Tubab scholars. This is what they contend. However, non-Kemetic scholars are rushing to denounce and run away with the concept that the aforementioned words have a Kemt origin. They don't have. That's what it should be saying here. All three religions plus Hindu use this word. And again, there's another version, Amun. See, but we have others who say it has nothing to do with Africa, has nothing to do with ancient Egypt, what we call Kemt. And this is what our ancestral brothers called this, and we Tameri, there's other names they use also to describe their land. But the use of this word, again, is tied. I will get into this. I'm setting you up for this to get you to understand. Now, the Islamic scholars believe that they differ, and they say they differ from the Christians, the Jews, and anyone else in using this word. Scholars say it means security, truth, and faith. So when you hear the Muslims or someone making a dua, supplication, Arabic supplication in English, and you see the Muslims, someone's given a invocation, you hear the Muslims saying Ameen, Ameen, Ameen. The Christians and Jews don't do this, but we do as Muslims, because we supplicate more than anybody else. We pray more than anyone else. And we have a deeper sense of connection with Subhanahu wa ta'ala than others. And so the Muslim scholars say that this means security, truth, and faith. Now, we're going to start getting into something. And let me preface this by saying there's Muslims that are upset with this. There's other non-Muslims upset with this, because anything that you don't understand, and we have to understand, as you hear me say for weeks now, the Tubab scholars, the wrongful ones, the rogue ones who have went rogue, have tried to destroy ancient Kemt. Because when you heard me say, when we took them out of the equation, suddenly they say Egypt or Kemt is no good. And they begin to even avoid their own scholars who were there 4,000, 5,000 years ago, and they ignore them. They ignore them, see? And then they make interpretations for themselves. So they go in the process of destroying Kemet. We on the continent elsewhere have taken their lead, because when we go to school, it's usually the Tubab who teaches us, or it's a black man who's been trained by the Tubab. So he goes by what he was taught. So we have a negative view of Kemet. See, so this is why I talk about this. Now we're going to get into something. We're going to show something that's going to be upsetting to, especially to the Muslims. The root word of Amin in classical Arabic, written in the Mehr Neher, is A-M-N. This is also for those who speak the Arabic language, because they will say that this language is something, this language is in another way, or whatever the situation may be. But in both Arabic and Hebrew, the root word is A-M-N, which comes from the classical Mehr Neher text without the vowels. Because you got to remember something, Arabic and Hebrew are very, very close. They're sister, in languages. There's a whole host of these languages that are very, Ge'ez is one of them, which is out of East Africa, Ethiopia, and so forth and so on. So they're very close, but this is the root word. But the way the root word in Arabic is written, it's from Metu Neher. You see, we go back again on saying why. Because when the people left, you got to remember something. There was no Hebrew or Arabic being spoken in ancient Kemet. There was none. The language that were spoken were African dialects that we have today in East Africa and West Africa. And that's proven now by the DNA. And when someone made a comment the other day, I heard someone's talking and they were saying some comment. I look on my dad's side and I look at my grandmother. I told you, on my dad's side, my grandma's side, the people were very dark. I remember in Kentucky, as you heard me say many times, I saw people that were very, very relatives, very, very black. I remember that. And now when I got the jet match results, I know on my father's side, we have, of course, the slave master. He's there. But my grandmother, was short, stocky, muscular build, shorter stature, muscular build, dark complected and muscular build. We know now she had Igbo and she had Yoruba. If you look again at the ancient mummies, you see the EM genotype. The Igbo and the Yoruba, the Tiv, all those, and all the people from West Africa have the EM series, designating you coming from ancient Egypt. See, we point back to a situation. Now, the linguistics also tied in this. Not only is Amin related to ancient Egypt, we in the West African dialects still carry remnants of this word, because it was prevalent in ancient Egypt. Now, here's the confusion. The scholars contend that this word is theirs. I mean, the Hebrews contend this word is theirs. Where did the Hebrews come from? Huh? Were they just born and created and stayed right there and we understand the Middle East today, in Palestine, in Jazirah Arab? No, they originally came out of Egypt. I gave a class on this, and we have Jewish scholars who, again, boldly and bravely admitted the truth by saying that they know that the original Hebrews were black people. And I gave you the story of what happened when just Jewish scientists and a couple of African scientists found the gene in South Central Africa, which is called the Priestley gene. And they're black folk. When they examined them, these black people began to talk about when they were in ancient Kemet, and they left on an exodus to come further south. When they also went across the Red Sea, they went and entered into, we know Canaan, but we call today Jazirah Arab, so you will know what I'm talking about. And they then developed Hebrew centuries later. So how could Amin be centralized and originating in with the Hebrews? That's not the case, because the Hebrews, when they were inside, say, Messer, or in Arabic, Messer, Egypt in English, and then, Kemet and Mehneher, they spoke Mehneher. And Amin is a very, very powerful and mysterious word. We'll get into that. When the Hebrews made their exodus, Amin was part of their vocabulary, and it transformed into Hebrew and Arabic. So it wasn't originating with the Hebrews, after all. The many people who became Hebrews. Now, my class, I'm going back over this again because some people may not have followed me at the time, but I'm giving you some excerpts of this. We know that there was a group of African people, Ga, Akan, there was Ewe, there was, there's a few of these clans that left ancient Egypt, Kemet, and went north. They went into Europe, as we understand it, Europe. There, the people saw them. They used a bastardized word for Hebrew. That's what they began to call them. This is where the Hebrew word actually started to come about, because they weren't known as Hebrew in ancient Egypt, Kemet. They were not known as that. They were black when they went into Europe, and they converted the Europeans to, now we understand, to Judaism. They left now to come back through Jazirah Arab back into Kemet. They were no longer Akan or Ga, or they weren't or Ewe or any of the other ethnic groups. They were not that anymore. I give you examples of that so you can understand this better. The African Americans and the Caribbeans. We're African people, but we have been away from Africa for over 400 years. See? So we have developed languages, cultures that are different than our African brothers here on the continent. This is what happened in this case when the Hebrews, now are called Hebrews because the Europeans coined this term for them. They came back across the Middle East back into Egypt as we know today, and they spoke Greek and Latin. They had lost their God. They had lost their Akan. They had lost the other, Mehneher. All these languages are gone from them now because they had moved to Europe, stayed there, intermixed with some people, and so forth and so on. You heard my class talking about that's why Jews have African names. I gave you the variations that you can find in names in Ghana, in Nigeria, Gambia. How can these black people have the same names as those who are sitting in Israel today? It's because the Israel today, these are the European converts to Judaism. That's why they could not find the priestly gene among them today. They had to go to Africa to find them who are black people. So I'm giving that class to people so people understand that. Okay, yeah. How you doing, my dear brother? Thank you very much for showing up today. I really greatly appreciate that. Thank you very much. So now we have something. The first fallacy was when you look at Google, you'll find the Hebrews are the originators of the word Amin. Now you know that's not the case, because before they left, there was no Hebrew spoken in Messer, but Amin was used for thousands of years. See, that's right. It was used for 1,000 years. So they converted to Europeans, as you heard me say, and then they were no longer the same people when they came in. And then when they left, they were now known as Hebrews and also Jews. But I gave you the class on that, on how the etymology of this word, how it changed until we got to the way it is today. I won't go through that class again because it's very lengthy. They didn't speak God, or and they came back. They spoke Greek, as you heard me say. Now, in the religious training and teachings of Kempt, Amin is a mystical word, meaning the hidden one. Now we got something that's going to upset our Muslim brothers and our Jewish brothers and our Christian brothers, because they're all sold on that this word was originated with them, had nothing to do with black folk in Egypt and ancient Kempt. That's why I'm getting heat from the Muslims who say I've left the religion. And that's funny that they say something like this, because if they understood their history, they wouldn't say that. But they don't understand the significance of it. This is why I'm going to get into Sufism, the masters of Sufi, the Sufi masters. Why? Because so you can understand something. I'm not talking about the Sufis that you see running around all over the place now, making all kind of innovations in religion, dressing funny and dancing and doing all kind. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about the Sufi masters. The Sufi masters are the ones who have deep purification and knowledge about the world and up into the interstellar space. And they take things and they have subhanahu wa ta'ala is granted these particular individuals, right or wrong. They go, yes, they're hermits. Some go live in mountains. Some go live way out somewhere in the forest. They go live away from the people. I won't debate that today. We'll talk about that when I give this, inshallah ta'ala bi'ithnillah. But we'll get into that. But these brothers have deep knowledge. Like one, Ibn Arabi. Now, he had deep knowledge. You heard me talk about him last week. So they take words. They tied in the Sufi masters. They tied in this mystical, deep understanding of some words from Subhanahu wa ta'ala, okay, to Surah Shams, which is 91, and the Quran. You heard me talk about this. And I'll get a little bit into what our Prophet ﷺ said about this. I see here we got comments here. How you doing, my dear brother? Thank you very much for showing up. I greatly appreciate that today, and I'm glad that you're here. Yemen Jews called, most Jews actually they also had a Jew. Okay, wait a minute now, dear brother. Okay, now I don't know if it's the first time here. We're not getting into what the Jews have did and what they didn't do, or where they moved to. I'm not going to get into that, because this is not the point. We're talking about some word that you use, I use, and even the Hindus use, Amin. This is what we're talking about. We're not talking about what the Jews did, where they lived, who they were with, where they were in Yemen before. I'm not going to get into that. I covered this class in another video. Okay, my dear brother? So please stay on track with this, on this, because why I'm talking about this, because Amin, you use it. Do you know why you use it? Do you understand the meaning of Amin? Where is the originating of it? This is what we're talking about. See, we're not talking about where the Jews moved, how the Jews moved. I gave you a short class of talking about how they came about. See, to debunk what has been said all through Google and all of books where they said the Hebrews originated this word, Amin. Now we know it's not the case. And I'm giving this proof. The people don't study. They don't study. And if the people understood ancient Kempt, they would be more understanding even of their religion. Because as I said before, if you understand the concepts, religious concepts of our brothers from Kempt, it would lead you to Islam. It will lead you there. It will strengthen your faith as your faith as well. Our dear brother here, please subscribe to his podcast. He gives a very, very good course, especially for the beginners on Africa and Egypt, Kempt in particular. And you should subscribe to his classes and whatnot, because this will help you to discern and understand. My dear brother, Amin, comes from Kemetic. Yes, this is proven. Nothing to do with Arabs. Yes, our brother here said it right. It doesn't have nothing to do with the Arabs, and it doesn't actually have to do with the Hebrews as well. Yes, they took this because, again, brothers and sisters, before there was a Hebrew, before there was an Arab, before there was an Iranian, the people in ancient Kempt spoke a language we know as Metu Neter, the language of God, in other words, of English. And they have this word in their vocabulary, meaning a lot of different things. But it has a significance, meaning in regard to Tawheed, Allah. Tawheed Allah means the oneness of Allah. And I'm going to get into that. Here we go. No, the high school. Oh, okay. Okay, my dear brother. I don't know if you responded to somebody. Okay, thank you very much for that comment. Okay. Oh boy. Okay, here we go. Now, the hidden one. This is why you've seen African Americans who took this name, Amin Ra. I don't know even if they understood what name they took. Some took it legally, others took it as a side name or nickname. And they may not quite understand the meaning of it. Because if they did, they would have to understand there's some other significance to it. Because you have to use other things with it. I can't get, that's another class altogether, like Ka Ra, Amin Ka Ra. There's a lot of different variations how we use this and Meher Neher, but I can't get deep into that because I'll lose you guys on that, because even I'm still learning. But this here is something. When we understand this, you as a Jew, when you're praying and making your invocation, you say Amin. The Christians say Amin. The Muslims say Amin. Behind their invocation or someone's given, like when we go to our communal prayers, which you call Jumu'ah on Fridays, the Imam, when he gets ready to close, he gives a supplication. And this, again, deals with our belief in Subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he's going to hear us and he's going to answer the dua. This is Allah. This is Yahweh, any name you want to call him. But here we have something here that is tied. And that's why the Muslim brothers in particular are upset with this, because they say, no, it has nothing to do with that. It does, brothers and sisters. Because why I say that? Because the Africans, Black Africans, the brothers in Kempt were the first ones who were the caretakers of Tawheed. You have to understand that. It has nothing to do with me being Ridda and Deen. Excuse me, I'm speaking Arabic, excuse me. English, apostasy. That has nothing to be apostating out of religion, because I'm telling you that the first people who had Tawheed were Black folk, and you're Black too, who's talking this. You're from Africa on top of that. And you Fulani, you're Hausa, or you are Tiv, or you Mende. So how are you denouncing your brothers? Your African brothers from Kempt were the first ones who had Tawheed. The first persons, not the Hebrews, not the Muslims. They weren't the ones who were the first caretakers. The brothers in Africa and Kempt were the first ones. And here we go. Here we go. The meaning, Amin. Amin. We say Amin. It's a deep meaning. The Sufi masters understood this, because Subhanahu wa ta'ala give those masters, those Muslims, something about Meher. It's been forgotten language. But Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave these Sufi masters of Islam some knowledge about the Meher, and they begin to tie in the Quran and everything else, because Subhanahu wa ta'ala talked to the black brothers, our ancient brothers encamped also. If you say, no, he did not, well, how, let me get into that. How is it that those ancient brothers, without any technical advances, charted out the space? Someone explain that. They don't have telescopes, they don't have airplanes, they don't have probes, they don't have shuttlecrafts going like they do, like NASA has today. They had none of that. Who gave them this knowledge? I said last week, I said the difference between the Africans and the Europeans was that the Africans received direct revelation from Subhanahu wa ta'ala. The Europeans took the information from us and they developed it, yes, into telescopes, communications, but they took the training from us and then they developed it. Yes, they did that. But they got it from us first because we got the revelations from Subhanahu wa ta'ala. When the Europeans came to visit us, Herodias told in his book, he's white. He said that he came to the suppositories, he found all of this stuff. And suppositories meaning the libraries and stuff and learning. Here, those brothers, without even traveling, doing anything, had charted the space without devices. It's incredible. This is the difference. This is what I'm talking about. So now we have something here. Amin. Amin. You say that at your after that, and you after your invocations. Now, it's dealing with who? Subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he will answer. Listen to our prayers. Listen to our invocations, because we want something. Maybe because we have, like in Gaza, how many we have prayers going everywhere. Ever since Amin, Amin, Amin. Because who? Amin is referring to what? Subhanahu wa ta'ala. Here you have it here. Our African brothers, way back 5,000 years ago, was using this word. And it meant the hidden one. And it's tied into Ra, meaning Ra has to do with the sun in itself, not the worship of it. That's why it's called Amin Ra. It means the one who is a true meaning, means the hidden one, behind the sun. This is what it meant. Meaning Tawheed, there's somebody who's orchestrating the earth, the atmosphere, the water, the whole gamut. They understood this. And this is where the word Amin came about. Now, Muslim brothers, you want to say this is apostasy? It is not, because we're talking about how is it that these brothers had this Tawhidic knowledge 5,000 years ago. They knew that the sun was operating. They understood the day and the night. That's why the book is named as their book is named as that. The forthcoming by day and night. They realized the sun and its purpose. And even our prophet, ﷺ, also echoed this in a hadith. Oh, let me see here. We got some questions here. Okay, we got Amin comes from. Okay, yes, our brother said that. We have that. Look up Temple Amun in Sudan. Okay, now I don't know what you mean. Yeah, it's a temple. Yes, but again, there's just like in Islam. Islam is we're supposed to have Tawheed. But we have a lot of Muslims now who are not actually involved in Tawheed anymore. We know that. So even the Old Kingdom, which was the first sixth dynasty, was powerful. They gave all of the technical advances that we still use today. All of they developed the religious. That's how we came up with Judaism, and so forth and so on. Islam is not an offshoot of that, because Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a direct message to him and gave a direct message to to Moses alayhi salam as well. See, and Jesus also had revelations, but we don't know about Jesus alayhi salam. Why? Because his books and his sayings were destroyed for obvious reasons. See, so look up the temple. Yes, I don't know about this temple. I was in Sudan. I don't know where you're talking about in Sudan. I was in Sudan in 2008 and part of 2009. I don't know what temple you're talking about there because during the time I was there, if you had something that was related to polytheism, it was going to be attacked because I was there in 2008, 2009, and I don't know anything about this at all. So here we go. There's a conflict in the temple might be in danger of keeping the safety of the temple. Okay, who are these people that you're talking about? What religion are these people? Let us know because I'm trying to figure out who you're talking about. I was there in 2008, 2009. Who are the people that you're talking about, and where are they at? Because if they're in the East, I don't know how. I won't get into. I'll just let you please give us more information to give us the education on this. Okay, where are we at here? Okay. Okay. Okay, wait a minute. Okay, we said this here. Now, the contention of the scholars of ancient Kemet differed on how Amen was used. Now, we have scholars also. We have some scholars who said that even the first when the dynasties, the first was everybody knows Men's but actually in Meher is not that. I won't get into Meher. I don't want to write all that because it's confusing. They contend that his first name, the first king or pharaoh of the dynasty, they said had the name of Amen, and that's where his word Men's came from. But other scholars said it's not from that. And I just read a book here from one African brother who is a scholar in Meher. He was talking about this issue, and he said that they got it wrong. And he presented his proof, and I agree with him thoroughly on that. But some say it was used as a prefix and suffix to a king's name. That's not the case, because if you look at the cases you look at the king's list, that's another class. The king's list is very distinct. You'll find something there that's prevalent. You heard me say 1,000 times. This is why I talk to the Fulani people and our brothers. Many of them, I understand, they don't care because they live in their worlds. They don't care about their history, but they should understand why they have a name Kara. They should understand it and where it came from. When we have a beautiful a beautiful Fulani sister, her name is Isato Sao. They should understand where they came from. It didn't come from Nigeria. Okay, it didn't. It was spoken, that name and the word, and for a woman was given to girls' names way back 5,000 years ago, back in ancient Kemet. See? And so when many of the kings, especially in the Old Kingdom, the first 6 dynasties, Fulani people were there. They had these names, Ka-Ra. Here we go again, Ka-Ra. You heard me say this weeks after weeks. It's upsetting to many people. That's why I said it may not be their cup of tea. But I have to present the facts as it is. Those brothers that was in Kemet were under Tawheed. Yes, they have periods where they didn't, because we have passages in the Quran where Subhanahu wa Ta'ala talks about them in magic. Yes, they went away from Tawheed, just like the Muslims today. Not all Muslims who say they're Muslims are practicing under Tawheed. They are not. And I can find it here on Maghrib, across all over the place in Muslim world. We have people who say they're Muslims, have nothing to do with Islam at all, and they're mushrikeen, where they're worshiping other things. But that's another story. So even in ancient Kemet, we had the same problem as we have today. Men are going to do that. You give something to a man, it spreads, it's going to get changed because it's human nature to do this. I know that. Okay, we got something here. Let me see what the brother said here. Excuse me. Our brother, okay. Okay, that's not, no, brother, please. See, you made a comment here. Okay, you made a comment about Sudan. And so I'm not going to get too distracted too much on this, but you made a comment about the Temple Amun. I want to know where this temple's at. I was there in Sudan, and I know Sudan very well from 2008, 2009. So where is this? Who is practicing under it? What religion is that you're talking about? Where is it? Is it in the West Sudan? Is it Eastern Sudan? Or is it in the North Sudan? I need to know where it's at because I never heard of it. And I was there. And I talked to a lot of people from in Sudan when I was there, 2008, 2009. So please give us this information. And Egyptian God, I mean, it's temple. Okay. Only two pillars. You know what? I'm not gonna. I'm tired of dealing with this. You can't, brother. You know, you make a comment, and now you rambling on. It's like you some provocateur. I'm not gonna have it. We're trying to get into something here, and you made a comment. You can't back it up, and now you start talking about the temples. You're a provocateur. I'm running you out. So I don't even want to see your comment here. Okay, most Arabs are trying to destroy. Yes, we have that, but even the Jews too, even other Christians, we have that because why? When the European scholars begin to dissect Africa, they destroyed all of it. Not only Kemet, but Ghana, Senegal, all the countries we know today, they destroyed our histories. And that's why they try to make it as though the only history that came about is when they came in Africa to colonize us, and also the slavery. So this is part everywhere. And you heard me say even today, we have Muslims who are denouncing me, claiming I have left a religion. Which is incredible for them to say that. See, because they said, "Oh, you left Islam now, and you're glorifying." I'm not glorifying them. I'm just telling you that you said that the Muslims were the first in Tawhid. They were not. The Jews, no, they were not. African brothers in Kemp were the first who had it because they were the first people before we had any, they were involved in Tawhid. This is where this word Amin comes in. That's why I'm giving it to you. If you accept it, you don't, I understand. And we had the temple, okay, and and Napa. Okay, Napa. Where is where's my brother? Where's Naka? Okay, Naka. This that's right on the border. I think it's on the border of present day Egypt and Sudan, if I'm not mistaken. Get back with me on this, please, and give me more information on that. Okay. Okay. Now we got okay. Okay. The correct position of Ra and Amin essentially was that the prefix suffix in their names. Others incorporated Ka-Ra. Again, where the mistake is, we have scholars on the ground who said that many of the kings had the name Amin. That's not true. Now we have African scholars who are experts, and Meher was talking about the fallacies that they created. Why did they say that? Is because when you translate the hieroglyphics, Meher, they try to claim like words like men's, who was the first pharaoh of Egypt in the first dynasty, right? They tried to tie in two words, but it's not the same, because when you look at the hieroglyphics, you see that Amin is totally different than men. It's totally different, totally different. So that correlation is wrong. And others incorporated Ka-Ra. And again, that's why I tell the Fulani brothers, they should be very interested in understanding their history coming out of Kemet, because this Ka-Ra is prevalent in our names today as Fulani people. It's deeply rooted in our culture. And also the Fulani people were caretakers of this, and they were deeply, deeply embedded in the purification of the soul. See, and that's why you had many of the Fulani we think were Fulani kings. They have the names Kara inside their names, okay, or they had the suffix Kara at the end. It's all of this is very interesting. So when the Hebrews left, and then you had all of the Exodus happen. Amin is still part of the linguistic makeup. So when the Hebrews went into Jazirah Arab and Palestine, as we understand today, Amin was in their vocabulary. The African brothers to the east and African brothers who went to the west became the West Africans and became the people from Somal and Somaliland, Eritrea, and all that kind of stuff like this. And the brothers in West Africa all still kept this word and variations of this word. Okay, they kept that. So the fallacy to say that the Hebrew is the mother and father of this word is wrong. We know that the origins of this word come from ancient Kemet. Now we understand that. This is the point I'm trying to make. See, and that's why I put this. Yes, there's periods where we had in Egypt, they had this. And because there's a misunderstanding, even I misunderstood this Torah, I start to hit the books and start to understand better, I start seeing they're not polytheists. Now, yes, we know the variations of this, just like today. If some Christian, he knows, he see Muslims, what they're practicing today, he's confused. I thought you guys involved in Tawheed, but I see you doing this. See, and you saying that. So we had the same thing in ancient Egypt as well, ancient Kemet. See, but their origins was that they believed in Tawheed. You know, I read off today, I read off before about this, but I think I may not read it off to get you to understand about the hymn of Ra and so forth and so on. It's Tawhidic. It's Tawhidic. See, and this is again why me and our brother King Cam, me and him, been about this issue. Where did he get this information from? Because we don't have the prophet. I believe it was a prophet of Subhanahu wa ta'ala who gave this information. I believe this. I believe he was talked to and it was developed. I believe this, but we just don't know who the prophet was. Our prophet said that all people were sent prophets, because you have to have somebody, something, because the knowledge, the mathematical geniuses, all the stuff that came out, it was divinely given. They weren't, the Europeans didn't come to give them that. They already had this knowledge. They got this knowledge from Subhanahu wa ta'ala, who sent angels or something to a prophet, and this prophet gave this information to develop Tawheed, because they were the first ones, the caretakers of Tawheed. No doubt about that. Now we understand that. See, because the hymn and Ra, it's a beautiful, beautiful hymn talking about Tawheed Allah. See, and one of the names that they use for Subhanahu wa ta'ala was Amin, the hidden one. See, the hidden one. Ra, Amin Ra, the hidden one behind the source, behind the sun. Okay, which we know means is the supreme being, not 6 or 7 or 100, no, one. See? So word is used in variations, but its origins deeply rooted in the belief of one supreme being. So again, we have to make the correlation between Kemet and other religions, which is true, because the Jews, the Christians, Muslims all say Amin. All say Amin. The Bible, it starts with Amin in it. The Muslims have used the invocation Amin after we recite the Fatiha. For those Muslims who they understand, those who don't, you know, I won't get into the class in that, but we have to recite that. You cannot have a prayer without the Fatiha in it. See, that I'm not going to get into the fiqh, but we always say Amin as well afterwards. So we know now where this came from. We understand that. So you guys, you do your research on this, and you have to open up your mind. No one is telling you that what you worship as far as Muslim is wrong. No, We're not trying to say the ancient Kemetic people were Muslims. They were not in this regard. They did believe in Subhanahu wa ta'ala, and their prophet gave them something. They drew at their time, which was they thought was authorized, images of Subhanahu wa ta'ala, and gave Subhanahu wa ta'ala many different names. The Muslims, we have 99 names for Subhanahu wa ta'ala. But the difference is between us and them, we don't give figures and images of Allah. We don't do that. We cannot. And 5,000 years ago, they did do this. This is the difference, brothers and sisters. I want you to understand that. Please understand that. That's the difference between the Muslims we know today, the Muslims 14 years ago, even to today, we have 99 names. The ancient Kemetic brothers in camp had many, many names as well for Allah. It's not one. But the difference is that they drew Allah in many different figures. And this is where the European scholars came in and start to tear us up by saying we're worshiping a falcon, we're worshiping a cow, we're worshiping a river, we're worshiping this and that. It's not true. These are the names, and they drew inscriptions of Allah and animals and everything else, which we cannot do. They did that, but we don't do that. But that's the difference. The Nabi. Now, this is something, brothers and sisters. I want you to look at this. I'm trying to get you to understand that when Subhanahu wa ta'ala was talking to the learned men of Kent, he made a significant impression on them, because let's face it, you take advantage, you dismiss it. You wake up in the morning, you look for the sunlight. That's how we determine many things, right? We know that the sun, Subhanahu wa ta'ala, puts great importance because he wants you to understand that he created that. He controls that. See? So it is an integral part in our life and worship, meaning that we don't worship the sun. No. But we take oaths that we know Subhanahu wa ta'ala has made it. He controls that, because without it, we're dead. If Subhanahu wa ta'ala withdraws the sun today, we'll be dead within an hour, not even an hour. The cold would be so deafening, it'd be 200, 300 degrees, zero. I mean, there'd be nothing left. It'd be frozen. It'd be a wasteland. It'd be everything frozen. There'd be no plant life, no nothing. So the sun is important aspect. That's why we have Shams. Shams is in Arabic, means sun. Nabi, he said, who recites it? He made it a condition to tell the Sahaba, you recite this and the oaths in it, because it's very important. Even in English, when you look at it, you can tell how it's got this melodic tone, especially if you read it in Arabic language. It is beautiful, absolutely beautiful. It is so melodic. No man can create something like that. It has to be inspired by Subhanahu wa ta'ala, because it's too melodic. It is too much. And when you start to read it, and our prophet made conditions about it. There's oaths to it. And he says, it's like he who is given charity in the way of Allah to all things that the sun and the moon shine upon. See, now, that's why our distractors again say even the Muslims worship the sun and the moon. No, we don't worship the sun and moon. We worship what's behind it. We know Subhanahu wa ta'ala orchestrate that. But Subhanahu wa ta'ala, there's a deeper Sufi meaning to this that many of the masters have talked about this. Some agree, some disagree. But they talk about a deep-seated thing to this. There's mathematical equations. Even I can't even understand it. I don't even get into it because it's just too much math. And they got dots in this universe. There's a lot of stuff that these Sufi masters had. Okay, they had. And so forth and so on. But many believe that Shams is something that has a deeper meaning to it. See, and this is what we see here now. This here, and with Subhanahu wa ta'ala instructed and gave our prophet Shur Simps. He gave his tafsir to it by telling us that it's like a way of charity, that we understand that what the sun and the moon shine upon, because it's important, brothers and sisters. We got some comments here. Let's see what we have here. Oh, we should pull up the Aramaic. Aside, the language and religion were the same. We have been lied to. Jesus didn't speak Hebrew. No, he didn't speak Hebrew. Jesus didn't speak Hebrew. Matter of fact, our African scholars have made comments about something like this. You heard me talk about the book, the Africans who wrote the Bible. In there, we have our dear brother who's passed on, Professor Dakwa. He's now passed on. I met him back in 2000, right before I went to Ghana and stuff. And he was talking about this issue here as well. And he said that the Aramaic was, again, an attempt to take Africa away from everything. And the actually Aramaic is Amharic, which they speak today in Ethiopia. We call Ethiopia in Arabic, we call Habasha. This is the name that they call it, see, in Arabic. And I believe our brother King Cam, because he does a lot of research on this, I believe, because I don't like the distinction between Ethiopia and Nubia. To me, it's not, because I don't see how it could be a distinction from that. I think it was just a part because the clans moved to the northeast and it was still part of Nubia. Our brother King Cam, maybe he can weigh in on that part of it and stuff. And I'm not sure. I believe it still may be called Tasseti. The whole region was called that. There was no separation. Now, I did see something in the hieroglyphics here when they were talking about my ancestor Shawaka. They made a comment when he was in the 25th dynasty. There was a comment made about him and in relation to where he was at. I have to look back at that again to review that. But now we see here the language that he did not speak Hebrew. He didn't. He spoke Aramaic. I'm almost certain this is what, because Aramaic and Amharic is too close. And our scholars on the ground in linguistics said there was no Aramaic language. It was actually Amharic, which is spoken today in Habasha. We also know that Ge'ez is a sister language to Hebrew and Arabic and so forth. That's why when the Muslims first, when persecuted, where did they go? They went to Ethiopia. Ethiopia, the king. Now they spoke Arabic, but it's funny because Arabic and Ge'ez are very close. There was easy, it was easy for them to understand one another. It's very, 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 very interesting. And our brother here says that language and statues appear to idols to be not words, but this is false, right? Mat, for example, is a symbol of meaning justice. Yes. See, again, you're right. And we have people who believe, again, just the same as they now said about Midi. So no, you left Tawheed. Now you've used the Sharia term Ridda and Deen. That means you apostated from the religion in English. Because I'm talking about this, but I'm talking about this because I want the education. I want you to have a well-rounded education. You should not be blinded because and faith, saying, hey, nothing is concrete and so forth except my religion and that's it. But you had to have an origin and you had to have something, because on this continent of ours, on a beautiful continent of ours, we've had everything taken from us. And so why should you be upset, African, if you know that your brothers were the first ones who were involved in Tawheed? Why would you be upset about that? I don't understand that. That's why I don't understand my brothers who are upset with me. I'm giving you a fact of telling you that your great ancestor, because you're from West Africa, your ancestors came from Egypt because you carry the EM genotype. So that's the genotype of Kemt. So those brothers had Tawheed first. So why are you upset with that? I don't understand. Maybe somebody can chime in on that. I don't understand the logic. Maybe I'm too close to it. Maybe somebody can chime in on this in the chat to explain to me, why would an African be upset that his ancient brothers were involved in Tawheed? I just don't understand that. I don't. I can understand if they come at me and say, hey, man, you're starting to worship idols. That's not the case. I'm giving you something to tell you that your brothers in Kemp were involved in Tawheed. They were the first caretakers of it. It's proven. And proven that they used the word Amin 5,000 years ago. Over 2,000 years or so or more before the Christians and Jews began to use it. See? And this is a fact. So we have to look at that. Okay, yes. So, yes, justice, yes, and likeness and brother. Now, what is funny, what our brother just said here, is you saw the meaning I gave you what the Islamic scholar said. Let's revisit that. What our brothers said about this term as well. They said that, let me go back here. Verily, okay, we used the word, okay. And okay, yeah, here we go. They said that it means, scholars mean truth, security, truth, and faith. Huh, very interesting, isn't it? Huh? Very, very interesting, isn't that? See, that's a very, very, very interesting point. And you know, and this, you know, so again, we had Africans who were involved in Tawheed, brothers and sisters. Okay, we can't get around that. Now, did all the dynasties? No. Even the Prophet ﷺ told us, even in Islam, he said that Tawheed, we'll have it here. And then suddenly it'll begin to get weakened. Every 100 years, a reformer will come to bring it back. So even us, and we see that today, even us as Muslims, we have this problem with Tawheed. And the Prophet said that every 100 years, a reformer will come to bring it back. The ancient African brothers of Kemp had the same problem. They have Tawheed, this starts to get weak, and then some people become mushrikeen, meaning polytheists, and then some reformer will come to bring it back. See? So we have that fact. See, so that is something. And I'm giving you something because as an African Muslim and historian, I'm giving you facts because even the religion was taken from us because we have people who said that in ancient Kemp there was no Tawheed. And it's just out of this world. It's not true. You think about something, brothers and sisters, about your ancient brothers and stuff. It coincides again. You notice I gave you the words, and I had a brother who wrote me. If you looked in my last program, he started to write me, and some stuff started to be crazy. He started saying that the Saudis were Fulani people. I don't know where he got his information from. I wanted him to prove to me where he got this information, that the Saudis were actually Fulani people. I don't know where he got that information from. I hope he comes here to chat. I know his name when I see it, but I can't remember it. But we had something that was very good, and we had something that was very excellent in our lives. And I'm talking about our ancestors, but they blew it. We know that. This is what they led to their destruction. Like what has led to the destruction of Africa. We start to leave with what Subhanahu wa ta'ala said. He allowed disbelievers to come into the continent and rule us, and they still rule us today. I agree there's no separation between Kush and Axum along Val. However, there were various kings that ruled, which over time caused separation. Yes, you said right, brothers. That's true. That's why, in the book of the forthcoming day and night, and there's a part in there by Shabaka, my ancestor, where he ruled. They gave a definition. They gave something about where he was from in Kush, and I can't remember exactly what it said, but I know. But anyway, it was I just thought it was very interesting. Anyway, Howard, there were kings, yes, and over time caused separation, yes, they did, and we had this separation. That's why it's confusing. People say, no, we've always been Habasha. I'm saying, no, Habasha is excuse me for Ethiopia. We've always been Ethiopia. That's not the case. See, and we have proven that there was no such thing as a separation in Somaliland and Eritrea and all that. No, it wasn't. It was part of Kush. Bottom line. Yes, there were separations later, but originally it was not. The reason why we get upset is because it breaks down the assumption that the ancestors were, yes, you said it right, dear brother. See, because the Europeans did a number on us. When we begin to develop scholarship, they begin to take that away by saying that scholarship was based upon falsehoods of studying the river, studying this. Yes, we have Africans that did that. Yes. Okay. But Europeans were doing the same darn thing too. They were worshiping all kind of stuff. And you had people involved in magic, like the Druids there in Ireland. I think that's where they were, the Druids. If anybody read on them, I read a lot of history because you should understand people, especially those who you consider your enemy. You should understand their ways and means. See, but this is because we do have so many variations in our religion, and so therefore, the ancestors, that you look at our ancestors, you say, okay, they had to be this because why? The Juju, the Ifa, the Orissa, all these are glorified, and this is what they push. Yes, because they're polytheistic, but they still believe in a supreme being, but they also have minor gods and they worship other things. We know that. See, that's why they push that. And it's a shame, but you counter them. You say, look, you say you're a Christian. If you're a Christian, why don't you follow the ways of the prophet? You said you follow Jesus. They said, we do. Then I said, wait a minute. Why did Jesus say he's here to enforce the Torah? They get quiet. And the Torah is what? No fornicating except in marriage. No drinking, spirits. No eating of pork. And a whole list of other things. But you do it. So when they go after us, we go after them. See? And then when they come with the stuff to the Muslims saying, you jihad, you can kill anybody, you can do, your prophet was this. I said, whoa, wait a minute. Even in your book, you said, Jesus said, alayhi salatu wasalam, he said that bring my enemies before me who don't accept me and slay them. That's in John 19 or something. I can't remember now what it's in John. It's there. And one of our scholars pointed it out to a Christian scholar who was all over the Muslims about jihad. He said, whoa, Jesus preached jihad also. And when they gave him that, this preacher, you heard the story, he blew him away. Okay. He was shocked, even though he said he knew the Bible, but if he knew it, he would have learned that passage, but he didn't. And alphabet from Carthage, Ethiopia to Kemet were the same. How can we bring this back today? Now, say, I don't know what you mean by the alphabet. You talking about Neher? That's going to be very impossible because that language was just, it's extremely difficult. And with the economic powers to be, it'd be, the world would not want to learn this particular language. Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave a direction and said that Islam will govern, and we're starting to see it will govern, and the lingua franca will end up being Arabic, because at one time it was in the educational world when Europe was in the Dark Ages, the Arabic language was actually the lingua franca. See, but don't look at it in the sense of the Arabs you see today. It's the same as the Jews. You have the same correlation. You see the Jews today and you see them white. You see the Arabs, the Arabs today, mostly who look white. Don't go by that, because in the past they weren't like that. See, so don't get caught up in that. How we bring it back meaning we should understand it, because it will strengthen you. I told you many times, the brothers in the United States who are basically Zendek, and in Arabic language mean they don't believe in nothing, okay, except the gun, the power of steel, and they slanging and banging. Many. And we have others don't believe in anything. But even if you don't go to Islam, if you went to the Ka, the religion of Ka, meaning the purification of the soul, and our brothers took the negative confessions, which you'll find, and the positive confession, you find this in the book Forthcoming by Day and Night, it would clean up a lot of stuff's going on in the United States. Last 2 weeks, I've been looking at this thing, what they call paternity court. I guess, I don't know if they have new shows, but I've been seeing this some years ago. They had this 5 years, 3 years, 2 years ago, something like this. I've been looking at that, and I've seen some horrible cases because of what his fornication has done. And my Prophet ﷺ talked about this. Subhanahu wa ta'ala talks about the scourges of fornication. I've been through that. I don't want to give a class on that, but I was trying to make a point and whatnot. If the brothers in the United States even took Ka, the religious Ka, and took that, it will clean them up tremendously, and it will lead them to Tawheed, Allah, and it will lead them to being Muslims, because the Muslims are closer to Tawheed than any other. Because because Subhanahu wa ta'ala ordered us to make ablution. The Christians and Jews don't. We do. We make 5 daily prayers where we're prostrating. Nobody else is doing. Samaritans, who are still to the Samaritans, they do prostrations and they do the ablution and so forth and so on. It's a lot of things, but we can't cover today in this one short course. But there's a lot of similarities and a lot of things to this. Let me get back to our thing here. We Kemetic people. Okay, we talked about that. Let me see, religion training. Okay, now, yeah. Before they became Hebrews, they were in ancient Egypt, and we know that they were ostracized, not racially profiled because everybody was black, but they were profiled, and essentially they were enslaved. But their religious teachings were of ancient Kemet, and Amin was one of the words they understood, meaning the hidden source, the hidden one behind, okay, behind the sun, behind the universe. They understood this. Moses, ﷺ, when he received his revelation, the 10 commandments is part of the negative confessions, because Moses, ﷺ, was trained in the mystery schools of ancient Egypt because he was born in Egypt. Amin is part of the word dealing with Tawheed. That's what I'm trying to get brothers and sisters to understand here today. If anybody comes to say that a person is talking polytheism, when you use the word Amin, Ra, meaning the hidden source behind the sun, okay, the hidden one behind the sun, how could that be polytheism? We're not worshiping the sun. We're saying, hey, we worship the one who's behind it, who will orchestrate that. We have the same verbiage, brothers and sisters, in Surah Shams in the Quran, number 5, where he says about the one who built it. See, we have that. That's why I'm trying to give this correlation so we can all understand. The contention of the scholars of ancient Kemet differ on how Amin was used. I talked about that issue and so forth. We have scholars who don't understand very much. They understand a lot of things, but when you get to the language capabilities, again, African scholars are starting to eat people up, because now the Africans, it's a proven fact. It's our religion. Okay, it was our religion in the past. It was our languages. It was not theirs. So now we've had access to it. Our African scholars are taking it, and we're now, giving it out to the African people. See, that you should know. And this is what I'm doing. I'm giving you this information so you can do your research, so you can have a better picture and look of the brothers in ancient Kemet. Don't dismiss them. Because why? You are of them. You African Americans, you Caribbean, you in South America and Europe and Canada, who are descendant of African slaves, you came from West Africa. Okay, bottom line. The West Africans, you heard me say, are the ancient Egyptians because they carry the EM genotype. That's the royal mummy's genotype in Egypt. So therefore, you should understand what your brothers are doing. And you should defend when the Europeans and others come after our ancient brothers by calling them, they don't call them stupid, but they said they were way off in their religion. It's not true. See? And yes, they had periods just like everywhere in the world where they fought and they fell down. We know that. Even Subhanahu wa ta'ala said that it was going to be. That's why he sent the last remaining prophet to clear up all these mysteries and say, you go back to Tawheed and you worship according to what Subhanahu wa ta'ala says. No graven images, no this, no that. And he gave rules. And we have to understand that. We have to understand that, brothers and sisters. The most correct position is the word Ra was used as a prefix and suffix. And again, others incorporated Ka Ra. Again, the Fulani people, if you're Fulani and you're here, I belong to many Fulani sites. I try to write on this. The Fulani people, you have your names. We have these names like this. We have this. We still carry these names today. And if you understood what your actually name means, it would blow you away, because it has to do with ancient Kemt and the purification of the soul. It was so prevalent in our people that our people named, even my ancestor who came out from Taseti, because this is where I believe, but there was I hope our brother Marcus, he look it up. I got to find it. I saw somebody, Shabaka, who was he was the pharaoh of the 25th dynasty. But they said he came from a region. Oh man, I can't remember now. I don't want to say something wrong. But even my name, my ancestral name, as you heard me say, Shah. Here's the Shah. What I believe Shah is an ethnic group or area where he was originating from. Then look at the last. Shabaka. Baka. See? So that is prevalent, and that is the Tawheed. When you talk about the purification of soul, you cannot purify the soul by being a polytheist. You cannot. You can only purify the soul is by discussing this and worshiping and following with the one who's hidden behind the sun, because that's the interpretation they understood. And that time, 5,000 years ago, about Tawheed, and you go to him, the one behind it, Amen Ra. You go to the one behind the sun. See? So it's an elementary form of Tawheed, yes, but it still was Tawheed. And we have to look at that and understand that. So when the Hebrews made their exodus, and Africans, and Amen was part of the linguistic makeup. It's true, brothers and sisters. Amen is part of all. Even the Hindus in India use one form of it. See, and I don't know, they removed it out of here. Boy, I tell you, they don't like me to use that word. I put it in here 4 times, and each time they removed it. Each time these guys removed it. Each time they removed it. I wanted to give you variations of the word of Amen, how it's looked in history. Okay, I got to find it I got to put it back in here somewhere. I got to find it in my notes here. Okay, here we go. Yeah. Now, brothers and sisters, this is what I was trying to tell you. We're invoking Subhanahu wa ta'ala in our invocations to him. We're asking him to grant us good health, whatever the situation be, or pray for someone, or whatever the situation may be. Now we understand the origination of this word, Amen. Here's the variations of it. Amani, Amin, Amin, Amun, and These are the variations. All of these, again, invoking Subhanahu wa ta'ala, which the Hebrews and Jews all do as well. All 3 of us, the Muslims, the Muslims, the Christians and Jews, we invoke Subhanahu wa ta'ala, and then we ask him, we make the invocation at the end by saying, Amen. These are the variations of it. This came from your ancient ancestors and ancient Kemt. And this is the point I'm trying to make, is to try to tell you that your ancient brothers in Kemt were no stupid dummies. They were not ignorant and walking around naked and jumping from trees, because in that area there anyway, you don't have a forest at that time. See, but they were very sophisticated, and Subhanahu wa ta'ala did speak to them. And he spoke to some prophet, we don't know who he was, and he gave him the message of Tawheed. See, we know that. And we see here, we got our brother here. Amani 2 is yes. See, yes, all of these things here. It says, I think I'm missing one here. Let me see what our brother, our Ethiopia camp were the same. How can we bring this? Okay, we answered that already. Yeah, and this is, again, I was trying to figure out my ancient ancestor Shabaka, how they gave something for him in the hieroglyphics, and when I read it, it kind of floored me by his origin. I sure can't remember that, but I wanted to get this to you, brothers and sisters, today, because I wanted you to understand that. I wanted you to see that we have the connections, that our ancient brothers also were involved in Tawheed. They weren't all polytheists. We believed in that, and we used the word Amin 5,000 years ago, well before the people became Hebrews, well before they were Jews, well before they were Muslims. This word was used. See, and it was in relationship again with the supreme being and with the purification of the soul, all of that. Who had this first? Our brothers in ancient camp. Now, of course, the Prophet Muhammad was given the keys because he's the last remaining messenger. And Subhanahu wa ta'ala said this is why his message is spread through the world. The message that our ancient Kemetic brothers, their message did not spread, because what has happened has been damaged. It's been shortchanged and so forth, right? We understand that. But Islam has not. They've worked to try to defeat it, and they cannot. You see? So I'm giving this correlation and so forth and so on. But I want you to understand these things about your ancient brothers, because it's very important. Now, when you say Amin, you kind of understand even how it was used in the past. And you don't have to believe now that the Hebrews and Jazir Arab was the one who used that and we got it from them. No, we did not get it from them. Nobody got it from the ancient Egyptians at all. They didn't get it, because Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the words to the prophets. All the prophets had this word in it. You see? So he gave it to everybody. You have to understand that, the logic behind that. Amin was given to all. See? So we should get that part of it, in. And I want to get something for a minute. I want to show you something here, because I want to make sure that we have the instructions here. I want you to look at this again, for sisters. Who's interested? I always point to this book. You got to get this book here. You have to have this book, because here it gives you a good indication, and it gives you the how it was. I gotta see if I can give I want to give the hymn of Ra, so that way you will see the beginning, the one of page 39. I want you, I'm just going to read a small thing just to show you what I was talking about Amin. Okay, I just wanted to get you into that. Again, ancient Egypt. Oh, I can't, I had it marked off somewhere. Those who don't know, I can't find it. Where is it at? I know. Okay, here we go, brothers and sisters. Please bear with me. I'm just going to read just a little bit of this. I know it's getting late, but I want to give you some of this. When we talk about Amin, again, evoking Subhanahu wa ta'ala in our dua. We want the best for us. We want the best for the people. And we want, if we have calamities, we ask and we make invocations, and then we say Amin. Okay, we say that. And Amin has its roots as according into Tawheed. We understand that. Okay, now, our ancient brothers, and this is what was found, and you'll find this in the basically the Bible or the religious book of the ancient Kemetic people, which was called the Book of Forthcoming by Day and Night. This book educated the world in a lot of things. We took things from it, and of course we developed from it. But our ancient brothers had this to say about this, the Tawhid. See, it says here, it says, God is one and alone, and none other exalted with him. Meaning, you hear, this is what our ancient brothers were given. They were the first ones who had Tawhid. They said, God is one and alone, and none other exalt with him, meaning he's by himself. There's not other gods associated. This is your ancient ancestral brothers out of Kempt, you Fulani, you Hausa, you Mendinka, you Mende, you Wolof or Jollof, or any others, or Pele or Tiv, any other Akan, it makes no difference. Your ancient ancestors who were there in Egypt believed this, because this is what was given to the prophet of old. He said, God is one, and one who hath made all things, meaning Subhanahu wa ta'ala created the universe. He created all things. This is our ancient ancestors who were the first take care of what? Of Tawhid. Then it says, God is a spirit, a hidden spirit, spirit of spirits, the great spirit of the Egyptians, the Kemetic people, and the divine spirit. This is what they were saying. God is from the beginning. He had been from the beginning. He had existed from old and was when nothing else had been. He existed when nothing else existed. What existed, he created after he had come into being. He is the father of beginnings. This, again, anybody who tells you that the ancient Kemetic brothers there in Kempt became the Somali, became the Ethiopians, became the Eritreans, became the Ghanaians, the Nigerians, the Fulani, and all the others. Before you became all of this, this is what you were believing in. You were taking this book here as your quote unquote Bible at that time. And Tawhid was it. God is the hidden being, and no man hath known his form. That's true. Can any of us tell what form is Subhanahu wa ta'ala? None of us. Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave the direction to our ancestors to tell them of his majesty, his power, and his grace. He is not a man as we understand him. He's not a woman as we understand that. He's not a figure either. See? And a side note of this, brothers and sisters, I know this is long, but I want to clear this point up. One of the Sufi masters in the 12th century, I think I told you about him, Ibn Arabi, made a comment about this. Remember I told you, but he said that he came across a people in his interstellar travel. He said these people were the masters of air and gravity. They can form clouds and all. This is what he saw of, and they have to be angels of some sort, because they had powers. He said there's just beyond belief. Some were gifted with time. Some were gifted with travel, where they can go from one point to another point in a matter of seconds. So that means they had some portals or something they were familiar with. See, and then that, he said, the one that scared him the most, not scared him, the one he fascinated the most was he went to a place where these ones were the masters of air. They can manipulate the thing. These are angels. That's the way I look at it. They were angels. Okay, they were angels. We know them in Arabic as Malaika, but they were angels. There's no doubt about that. So this is something, and here, I'm gonna get further into this because I think it's important. He is hidden from gods and men, meaning gods and men, meaning that other things that we look at and we not worship, but we admire. but he's not in that. He's hidden from. That's why, again, this is what our brothers are accused of polytheism because they see a mural of items that are drawn to represent Subhanahu wa ta'ala. They say we worship that. It's a contradiction, isn't it? Here they say he is hidden from gods and men, meaning he's not among them. So that's why, again, he is a mystery unto his creators. He is a mystery. We don't know what he looks like. We don't know if he's tall. We don't know anything. We have no way of knowing. No man knoweth how to know him. His name remained hidden. His name is a mystery unto his children. His names are immeasurable, and they are manifold, and none knoweth that number. We don't know all the numbers of his name. Now, the mystery was sold up in some degree with the Muslims because we have 99 names. So Subhanahu wa ta'ala must have gave information to our Prophet ﷺ and told him that he has 99 names. But this is the information that the Prophet that was governing the Kemetic people at that time, he was given this information that there was no number that represented him. And they said here, God is truth. He lived the truth. He's the victim thereon. He is the king of truth. His rests upon the truth. He fashions truth. He is the executor of truth throughout all the world. Boy, this is what our ancestors said, brothers and sisters. So now it should clear this up. Now we kind of understand when we talk about Amin, we understand what our ancestors looked at this. Okay, we tried to understand that. And we got a better picture of our ancestors, how Amin is used and how it was used by our ancient ancestors, the Fulani, how they used it, how the Hausa used it, how the Akan used it, the Yoruba, the Igbo, all of us used this term. And its meaning, when we talk about Tawheed, I just gave you some of this right now. In their book, our ancient ancestors were not dummies. They were deeply, deeply religious. Of course, that changed after the old kingdom. The first 6 dynasties begin to change, just like Islam has. We have strong Muslims today, and we have weak Muslims, don't we? Same thing happened in ancient Kemet. The same thing happened. But I gave you this, and he says here, God is life, and through him only man liveth. He giveth life to man, and his breath, the breath of life, into his nostrils. These are the bare essence. Again, meaning when you breathe, who gave you this? Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave you that. He gave you that. He gave you everything. He gave us, get deeper into this. The Sufi masters talk about this issue also. Let's look at something. But you see your body that you have? The Prophet said you have to account for it in the hereafter. That your body will testify against you. We believe this because this is a deep, deep mystical knowledge that a Prophet was given. You see your body that you have? The soul is rested inside, isn't it? The body is actually the protector of the soul. Essentially, you don't own it. See, Subhanahu wa ta'ala owns it, and your being is inside. It's not the outside. The outside only protects us. So you guys have to understand that. See, and we have another comment here. Do you know if the word Yemen, and I mean, have the relation to this word? No, I don't, dear brother. I sure don't. I don't know if because I see what you're getting at. You know what? It could be. If we do research, it just might. Because our brother last week talked about the word Yamin, Yah. He used it. He said it was in Akan. And we have men. See, men also is contention among the scholars that men means Amin, but we have our African scholars that say no, it doesn't mean the same thing. Oman, yes, Omani, right? That's part of Amin. One of the words you heard me give the variations. You may be onto something, brother. I didn't even know that. I didn't even think about that. But thank you for giving us this information. We should research that. If Yemen actually coming out from Meta did it come out from that? And Oman, did it come out from Meta? I'm just wondering myself. Oh yeah, please show the book again. This is the book here, brothers and sisters. Please get it. This is it here. You can get it. I think Google. I think some brothers before had ordered this book and they got it. You got to. This here clears you up on a lot of the fallacies of the Christian religion, the fallacies that you believe as Christians. This will give you an insight to show you that the Christianity was developed out of out of ancient Kemet. And you have to have this book. And in this book here, he gives you, this defeats the Tubab historians and the Black Tubab who back their play by saying that we worship the idols. That's not the case. Here, the prophet of the Kemetic people said, he said, he is hidden from gods and men. So that means that he's hidden. He's not in any form. So yes, they drew the forms to represent him, but they didn't worship that form. They were given it to honor him by giving images. We know it's wrong today because the Muslims are forbidden from that. But in those days, that's what they understood that they could do. Okay, but they also, even though they did it, it didn't mean that they worship, because he said he is hidden. He's hidden from that. He's hidden from anything, from idols or man or gods or anything. And he's hidden from that. So it's very interesting. And here, and I'll give a couple more and that's it. He says here in the book Forthcoming by Day and Night, it says here, God is life, through him only man liveth. And I told you that, and he breathed. Okay, let me go this one, and I'll stop at this. It says here again, in the book here, talking about Tawheed, ancient Egyptians, he says, God is father and mother, father of fathers, the mother of mothers. He begot, but was never begotten. In the Bible, he talks about the same thing. We understand in Islam the same thing. He was not begotten. We know that because we have one of the remaining last surahs in the Quran talks about this issue as well. That's right. See, so he was never produced. We say the same thing in Islam. He begot himself and produced himself. He created, he was never created. All of this is Tawheed. We find this in Christianity. We find this in Judaism. We find this in Islam. He is the maker of his own form. We don't know what his form is. Here, again, that's why you say that ancient Egyptians were polytheists, that they worship the idols that they drew on the murals. It's not true, because he says here, he is the maker of his own form, meaning what? None of us know what his form is, and the fashion of his own body. I mean, if this don't fascinate you, those who are interested to understand, those who are away from Tawheed, Allah, the Christians today, we understand, are polytheists. You are, because you put Subhanahu wa ta'ala, then you put some Holy Ghost, and then you put Jesus Islam. Where did you get that from? There's nothing in the Bible that tells you to do that. But the Europeans created this because they created the religion in their image and even made Jesus Islam into their image. This is why they push this Trinity. But where did they get that from? It's not in the Bible. See, they made it up. This is why you have to get this book, brothers and sisters. Please get this book. If you're interested, you Christians, especially, if you're interested in learning about your religion, you should understand that what you are actually believing is wrong. And it came out from ancient Egypt, and so forth and so on. And you have to understand that. And I gave you this portion on Tawheed and whatnot. And the constant Bush wrote, yeah. And so this is something that, again, you guys get this book and start studying it. And I gave you a lesson today on Amin. I hope brothers and sisters, that you guys got this understanding on Amin, how it was originating. It's, again, my Fulani brothers, Hausa brothers, and so forth and so on, who come after me and say, look, Yahya, you left the religion now. You are now part of the polytheists. I just gave you what our ancient ancestors said about Subhanahu wa ta'ala. I just gave you what he said about Subhanahu wa ta'ala. There's no polytheism in it. It's all Tawheed. This was written over 5,000 years ago, over 3,000 years before the Bible, quote unquote, was created. And even longer than that, before Islam came on, when the prophet got his message. And the prophet was the last remaining messenger to get the cleanup Tawheed. See, that's why the people who don't come to Islam, why you're wrong, why it says in the Quran that you'll be punished for it, that you won't see heaven. Why? Because you didn't take Tawheed, you threw it away. It's true. You created images when you're not supposed to create images, and you worship a man, and then you made him into God. All of this is why you'll be punished. See? And even in the Bible, there's passages now talking about the issue of Ahmed. Ahmed is another name for Muhammad. It's in the Bible. We know John the Baptist, we know him as Yahya. John the Baptist said in a book that was not, because he was a Samaritan. See, John the Baptist, he wasn't Samaritan, I'm sorry. He was, they call it Essene. Essene was a religious, they call them fanatics. It's like, a deeply religious person. They call him Essene. John the Baptist, we know him as Yahya, was part of that. He had his own book he wrote, and he talked about the two remaining prophets in his book, why he didn't reach the Bible, and look, the Samaritans were murdered, weren't they? Why did other Christians kill the Samaritans? Because the Samaritans had it right. They said it was wrong to worship Jesus as a God. He was not a God. They said he was a prophet. Why? Because the Samaritans had many of the books that the Europeans threw out. They did not want that in there. One of the books was John the Baptist's book, or you know him as Yahya. In it, he gave directions about Jesus, the last two remaining, Jesus, alayhi, and about Prophet Muhammad in his book. The Samaritan who had the book, when he encountered our Prophet at 5, and he was 12 years old, he was waiting for him. Subhanahu wa ta'ala told the last scholar, and he finally died. He was an old man. He had been waiting for the new prophet to come, because John the Baptist said that a new prophet will come. It'll be Jesus, and then one will come after him by the name Ahmed, which is the name Muhammad. We know him as that. And he told that you would know Muhammad because Muhammad will have a mark on his shoulder. So when the Samaritan, the old scholar, a Sharif, we know in Arabic, old man, Sharif, we call the people like this, scholarly, proud gentleman, we call Sharif. He had the mark. He knew it. Plus, he knew that Prophet Muhammad was the prophet, because he was told in the Rohit, in his dream, by Subhanahu wa ta'ala, and angels told him, he said, look, you'll know him when he comes, because there'll be a cloud where there's no clouds. Oh man, fascinating. And he said, in it, it'll be a cloud found by itself. Under that cloud will be the prophet. When that day came, when he knew, he saw a cloud that was moving where there was no other clouds, he knew the prophet was coming. He went to greet them. And this is, again, brother, sister, all of this stuff is related. All of it is related. From ancient Kemet to modern times, it's related. It's related. Don't take that part out, because our brothers destroyed the Christian religion as we know it today. Where did you get this? The polytheism in Christianity. It's a pagan religion. Where did you get it? It didn't come from Jesus. Because Jesus said in the New Testament, he said, I'm here to enforce the Torah, not to tear it down. So where'd you get it? I'm just trying to get our Christian brothers and sisters to look past their because they're blind following. Look past that. See? And so our brothers here, again, I mean, they were something else. They were something else. So now, brothers and sisters, you had indication here about Amin. And I'm hoping that you will join my station and those who are prescribed and so forth and so on. Because I'll give you a lot of information, a lot of times that you don't get other places, because I'm unorthodox in the way I give information, because I just didn't take things for granted. And my sister probably could tell you too, I had problems. I had problems in the Christian church. I just did. She could tell you that. There are some things I just could not, fathom it. Okay. I knew it just wasn't right. And I began to figure it out too, because when I start going to the church, I start seeing everybody with all kind of different Bibles. I'm saying, well, what is this? And I knew there was something was missing here and something was wrong. I knew this. So, and our brother here, he says, Yahya and Yahya, both educated in camp. Yes, we believe that. And we also believe that, and I also contend, and there's many scholars contend too, that Jesus was born in Egypt, in Kemt. We believe he was born in Kemt, because there's things indicating that. He was not born on December 25th, like everybody think he was. Because it was a pagan holiday from Europe, and they needed to convert to pagans of the north. And so they created and said that Jesus was born. But we know that because by the documents, it couldn't have been in the winter when he was born. See, so we've destroyed that aspect of it. And our brothers here talked about this. I wonder if he's got something. No, he doesn't have. I wanted him to, in this book here, this book here, I was trying to find out if he make mention of Amin. I think it is a word in here that he talked about Amin, but I got to find it because this book here has a lot of pages to it. Yes. And see, you know what? And our brother here is talking about this. When the Europeans basically stole the religion and they began to change the religion around to Christianity, one of the fallacies, if you notice the discrepancy, Abraham is how we know him. We know him out of the Khan language, because the Khan language was one of the first languages spoke. In Genesis 14:13, it says Abraham was referred to as a Hebrew. We know it can't be. How can he be a Hebrew when they left out? There was no such thing as we understood. I mean, there was no great power. They weren't enslaved. So how could the prophet Abraham be Hebrew when he preceded the Hebrews? You get my picture? You understand now why there's a problem? Again, you understand what I'm saying, brothers and sisters? In Genesis 14:13, it says that Abraham was referred to as a Hebrew. And in 41:12, Joseph is also referred to as a Hebrew. But all of this is false. It's true. Abraham was not a Hebrew. Why? Because he preceded the Hebrew before the people became Jews. He was not Hebrew nor Jew. But this is the mistakes that you find in the Bible. See, and this is why you have a problem. Because Abraham was first before the Hebrews even came about. See, they were not Hebrews at that time. So how can that be? That's what I'm trying to say. See, and it's brought out in this book. And that's why you should take this book and get it if you're interested in that, especially the Christians, because you should understand your religion. And you have to understand what it's about and why there's so many fallacies to it and why it's failing today. The Christian religion is going downwards. Your converts are going down. Your churches, you're losing in the United States, and Muslims are buying your churches and converting them to mosques. okay, to masjids. We know that to be the fact. The fastest growing religion in the world is Islam, not Christianity. We see all of that. Some of your scholars that in the United States, and even one prominent who lost his job on TV when he did a study about the world powers and what it would be in the future. When he came to Islam, he finally he talked about all of the wars, because he must have read the hadiths. He said that Islam will trump all others, because he said the Muslims have faith, because he said they pray more than anybody else. He said they make ablution to Allah, and they believe in his books. You see what I mean? All of this stuff, brothers and sisters, is part of the thing of Tawheed, and how this is manifesting itself, and how you as Christians should review your religion and look at it. And you Muslims as well, you should understand things that you say, where it came from. When you go after your brothers, see, your ancient African brothers encamped and go after them, you have to go and pull out Surah 91 in the Quran. You have to pull it out to understand that even our Prophet ﷺ was given the directions about the sun. See, and in the fifth verse, he said about the one who built it. Built in what? The sun, the one who's behind it, who constructs it. Even Subhanahu wa ta'ala told our prophet this very fact. This very fact about hidden behind the sun is known in Mehr Neher as Amin. The same words that you say after your prayer and after invocation, Amin. Review this, brothers and sisters. Those, please don't get mad. Go and do your research. I'm not saying anything. I'm not trying to tell you don't believe it's Muslim. No, no. It's not true. Islam, that's why the prophet is the last remaining prophet. He cleared up a lot of the mysteries. We understand that. And he gave these mysteries, and he gave answers to these mysteries. We know that now. We know the mystery talking about that of who created the universe and the sun. We understand this because Subhanahu wa ta'ala again tells us, even in the Quran, his last remaining messenger, Muhammad ﷺ, he's told him in there, he said, the one who created it, the one who orchestrates it. That's right. See, Surah Shams, Surah 91. The Sufi masters understood that as well. And he talked about this, and this is why they say this is their surah, so to speak, meaning that they use this as a way, a vehicle of a deep purification of their soul. And they tied in what happened in ancient Egypt, see, to say that they got a better understanding because they were practicing some forms of it. So this is all very interesting, brothers and sisters. See, and I'm hoping that you got something out of this today, brothers and sisters. And matter of fact, I got one more thing for you. Please hold on for 1 second, please. I'm going to get my Quran so we can so you guys can see something. I want to show something for those who do not understand something about Tawheed. This is my Quran here, what I read inside every day. I recite and do my prayers, especially what we call Tahajjud. And I want to give you something. This is Surah Fajr, and this is Surah. Okay, now where are we at here? So we can get it. I can show you what I'm talking about. This is okay. Now, brothers and sisters, here, Subhanahu wa ta'ala is talking to the Prophet ﷺ, okay, through the angel Gabriel. He was given the instructions here, talking about against Surah Shams, this is here. I hope you can see it here, okay. He's talking and giving instructions here about the oaths that the Muslims must have, okay. You must have this. And the fifth verse, where are we at here? Okay, the fifth verse, he's talking about, he says, Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Wasama wama banaha. Here he's talking about here in the heavens and what and who's behind it, who created, who orchestrates this. This is what he's meaning here in this verse. See? So again, the ancient Egyptians had the same concepts. Who was behind the universe? Who's behind the sun? Subhanahu wa ta'ala gave this information. He gave the information to a prophet, alayhi salatu wasalam, in this verse 91. Again, he said, Samai wa ma banaha. Who built it? Who's behind it? Who constructs it? This is what this means in the Arabic language here, the tafsir behind that. See, so I wanted to give you that, brothers and sisters, because why? To show you that I'm trying to help everybody. I want everybody to have this deep sense, because look, we're going towards the end of time. Don't get caught behind the 8 ball when you die. You must turn to Tawheed, because this is the religion of Allah, or Yahweh, any name you want to call him. Our ancient African brothers understood that. And this is why they call Ka and Ba, because they wanted their purification purified. They want to purify their soul, so they reach the Sama. We call this in Arabic language, up into the 7 heavens. See? And so this is what we're talking about here, brothers and sisters. Why I'm talking to you, to get you to go to purify, especially you Christians and many of you Jews and Hebrews who are outside of Tawheed now. You're outside of it. Don't die in this state. Your ancient ancestors believed in it. I gave you what they're saying about Tawheed, about Subhanahu wa ta'ala. He was not begotten. Nobody's like him. We don't know what his form is. This is what our prophets, whoever the prophet was, told them at the time who Subhanahu wa ta'ala was. And this is why I'm giving you this. And I gave you this in modern times under what the prophet received, his sure simps, why he made it a condition. He kept telling the companions to read it and to adhere to those oaths. And I just read off Surah 91, the verse 5 to you, so that way you can understand who was behind the heavens, who's in the inner space, who's created the sun, who orchestrates the sun. This is what this verse talks about. Our ancestors had the same concept. They called it Amin. Amin Ra, they called that. Now I give you the proof on this, brothers and sisters. I'm hoping that this get, yes, you did have, my son can tell you, I had problems. And they were hating me to no end, because I just could not stand it. I just knew what they were doing was false, and I was going and I couldn't stand it. I felt like I was dirty, and I not argue, but I said, no, it can't be right. She was telling me not pleased with the church. That's right. That's why it's falling. Now you have scandals after scandals in the church. Every day I pull something up on the church, on many churches. How many pastors now involved in fornication schemes? I even one dreadful thing where this one girl was wanting to get back at him because she the pastor took her virginity under the name of Allah, took her virginity. Okay. When she was so distraught after it, she became, whorish. When she came up with AIDS, she wanted to get him back. So she went back to him. He had sex. She paid him back with revenge by giving him AIDS. You have all of this. I'm not saying the Muslims not perfect. No, you know that. They're Muslims today. You don't even know they're Muslims. They're doing everything like everybody else is doing. You can find that everywhere in the Muslim world today. They're doing the same thing Christians are doing. See, so you don't go by what they're doing, because you go by the religion itself. And that's the religion itself is perfect, but not the people who practice it. They're not perfect. You have to understand that. So I gave you all that, brothers and sisters, and I'm hoping that you guys got something today. And that's why Spain, they got the long way, because they understood the same way. I don't understand, brother, with you, the English here. Maybe somebody, some people still here. That's why in Spain they got along so well, because they understood the same under I'm okay. I'm confused, brother, on what you meant by that. If you please clarify that, I appreciate that. So, brothers and sisters, this is going almost about 2 hours today, but it's worth it. I wanted to discuss these factors with you today, and I'm hoping that you got something out of this. I know that my understanding is a lot of people still having problems today getting my program. They're preempted, or you're not getting notifications. I've had some notices where people said that the program was preempted after a couple of minutes, and it was removed, and then something else was put in its place, and they couldn't find it no more. I had others tell me their subscriptions were removed. I mean, it goes all the way down the line, and so forth and so on. And why they're so threatened by this? This is not terrorism. I don't know what they're threatened by, and whatnot. But and our brother here was talking about the same thing here, here. Subscribe, and also subscribe to our brother's station here, because he gives a good in-depth history, and he talks about a lot of issues like this as well. So subscribe to him. So, brothers and sisters, there's no more questions here. I'm going to end this here, and I'm hoping, guys, you got something out of this today, because I did. I enjoy talking about the issues like this, because we're all interested in the purification of the soul. That is, the Muslims are preoccupied for this. This is why we push for this, because we want to rebuild for the hereafter. Our ancient ancestors in Kemt did the same thing. They had this concept of Ka and Ba, and they had the concept of Kara. Many Fulani still carry this name. Kara is the place of burial, and so forth. That buries the Ka, meaning the soul is buried now. It's called Kara, and there it rests. And then when it's met up into the heavens with the Ba, and this is why we call this Kaaba, and so forth and so on. See, and why we have again the in Mecca, which was called Baka, and the place going around it, the building, the building around it, he calls it Kaaba. See, so it's very, very interesting, brothers and sisters. And so I'll leave you with that until the next time. I'll give another topic on something, and inshallah, until next time, Assalamu alaikum, rahmatullahi barakatuhu.